وَتَحْسَبُهُمْ أَيْقَاظًا وَهُمْ رُقُودٌ وَنُقَلِّبُهُمْ ذَاتَ الْيَمِينِ وَذَاتَ الشِّمَالِ وَقَلْبُهُمْ بَاسِطٌ ذِرَعَيْهِ بِالْوَسِيدِ لَوْ اطَّلَعْتَ عَلَيْهِمْ لَوَلَّيْتَ مِنْهُمْ فِرَارًا وَلَا مُلِئْتَ مِنْهُمْ رُعْبًا. Suratul-Kahfi, Surah number 18, ayat number 18. Let's do a rapid translation before we move into some of the intricacies mentioned in this ayat. And what a profound ayat, what an amazing ayat, what a beautiful ayat this is. Wa, and tahsabuhum, you think them, ayqazan, to be awake, wahum ruqudun, but they are in a state of ruqud. It is not sleep. We will discuss in our next iteration. Wa nukallibuhum, while we continually kept on turning them towards the right and towards the left. وَنُقَلِّبُهُمْ ذَاتَ الْيَمِينِ وَذَاتَ الشِّمَالِ, while we continually kept on turning them towards the right and towards the left. وَقَلْبُهُمْ, as their dog, بَاسِطٌ, is stretching, ذِرَعَيْهِ, its two forelegs and paws, بِالْوَسِيدِ, right at the mouth of the cave. Law, had, ittalayta, you perchance climb to rise up and look, alayhim, at them. Lawallayta minhum firaran, lawallayta, surely would have turned yourself and others back. Minhum firaran, so firaran first, running to escape, minhum, away from them. Wala mulita, wala, and surely, mulita, you would have been filled, minhum ru'ban, so ru'ban first, with terror, minhum, from them, because of such an odd sight of them. So now let's explore a little bit more details, وَتَحْسَبُهُمْ, and you think them, ayqazan, to be awake, وَهُمْ رُقُودٌ, but they are in a state of ruqud, or which is derived from the verbal root word raqada. Now what is this? This is, to the best of my ability, for the lack of a synonymous word in the English language, I have had to use a full phrase or almost like a sentence that is somewhat similar to absolute rest in a simultaneously multidimensional environment. That's what rukud is. If you want to argue, okay, argue, let's argue. So the word used for sleep, I have been telling you that they are not in a state of sleep. They are not asleep. Why? Because the word for sleep or asleep is naum, which is a very commonly used word in the Arabic language. The word naum or nama or a derivative of that has been used 9 times in the Quran, and it's very common. But the word rukud occurs only once in the Quran, and that too in Suwratul-Kahf, and that too in the story, this history of the al-Kahf, from which the surah derives its name. And the word raqada in its, from that word raqada, another form is there in the Quran, so twice. But rukud appears only once, and that too does not refer to sleep. Do your homework, go and search for that word and find out the meaning. And I'm telling you, it's not related to sleep. So rukud does not and cannot mean sleep. If a commonly occurring word is what was meant in the Quran, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would have chosen to use the same word and not a different word which is uncommon and which appears only once. And that is that. So now they are in a state of absolute rest. How is it possible? I have tried to explain in a previous verse, and not just that, in a simultaneously multidimensional environment. What does that mean? They are in our worldly dimensions as well as in extra dimensions. How is that possible? That is how it is. And another verse that will come in the future will attest to that, will give us some hints to working with that. This is there, this is described, and along with that, something is happening. So this vow is vow haliya, not and, but while. While what is happening? So they are in this state, and what else is happening along with that? So while nukallibuhum, we continually kept on turning them. Dhat al-yamini wa dhat al-shimali, towards the right and towards the left. Now, where are we getting these fancy words from? We continually kept on turning them. Why don't we just translate while we turn them? Because nukallibuhum, the pattern, indicates a repetition, that the shadda in the lam. So this is how Arabic language works, right? Nukallibuhum, that the repetition in the sound implies a repetition in the meaning. If you don't know, I can't help you, but that is how the different verbal forms of the Arabic, the verbal forms, that is how these additional meanings are conveyed from the standard meaning. So this is common, this is known, this is nothing new. So that is how it is. It's an observation. So while we're translating it, we cannot just, because all the other translation scholars have missed, we will miss that. No, that's not how it works. The mechanism of the language is known, and we need to be observant and careful while we're translating. If we don't know the intricacies of the language, how it works, then we will miss that. We'll copy paste from others, and that's what will happen. So while we continually kept on turning them towards the right and towards the left, and then the wow that appears is again a wow halia. So instead of using while and while again, another word which is used in the English language is as, and that sounds good to the ear. So I have translated as, which means similar. So it says وَقَلْبُهُمْ, as their dog. So while that was happening, while they were in that state, we did something to them, and simultaneously something else, a third thing is happening, as their dog. وَقَلْبُهُمْ, as their dog. Basitun, basitun is stretching. So stretching. Why have used that word? Basit is a file pattern, so it means it means the one who stretches or the stretcher. But if you translate it like that, as the dog is the one who stretches, as the dog is the stretcher, it sounds very odd. So we use, so file pattern also indicates present continuous, and that pattern is what we have used in the sentence, as their dog is stretching. Dhira'aihi, it's 2 forelegs and paws. Bilwasidi, right at the mouth, indicating right at the mouth of the cave. Now, law had ittalaita, you perchance climb to rise and look alayhim, at them, instead of upon them, at them. Now, tala'a is used in the word in the previous verse. It means to rise. That was in the context of the sun. But here, what does it mean? So we know, remember from the previous verse, so the road was on the southern side, but the entrance of the cave, the mouth of the cave is on the northern side, and that was on the hilly track, off-road sort of, right? So the chances of people finding them out is as it is minimized. We have explained that before. But had you perchance climbed to rise up and look at them, what would happen in that case? So that is now coming. لَوَلَّيْتَ مِنْهُمْ فِرَارًا. لَوَلَّيْتَ, surely you'd have turned. And not just turned, you'd have turned yourself and admonished others, hey, something strange is there, run back. You'd have turned yourself and others back. Then firaran is the object. So we'll translate that first. Running to escape. Firaran, running to escape. Minhum, away from them. From them, away from them. And something else is happening. Wala mulikta minhum uruban. Wala mulita. Wala, and surely mulita, you would have been filled. Ru'ban is the object we translate that first. You would have been filled with terror. Minhum, from them. Better is because of such an odd sight of them. So what is happening over here? So the chance of you walking on that side of the road, which is not even a road, it's a hilly track, is minimum. But had you perchance to climb and rise up and look at them, this is a very strange sight. What would you see first? You would not even see them, the youths. You'd see 2 forelegs and paws stretching out right at the mouth of the cave. Probably you don't even see the dog, or maybe you do. And what a strange sight. And because of this, such an odd sight of them, you would be filled with terror. And because of that, what will happen? If you look, first of all, the chance of looking is rare. Very minimal. But if you were to somehow decide to go on that track, so had you perchance climbed to rise up and look at them, then and this sight, what will happen? The first inclination you would have is, surely you would have turned yourself and others back. Hey, run, running to escape away from them. And why are they being turned towards the right and towards the left continually? Because otherwise they would develop bed sores. We sleep for 8 hours, 9 hours, 7 hours. Some of us sleep more, some of us sleep less, right? For 8 hours, if we don't, just as in sleep we turn to, and so especially in those who are in hospitals and they are bedridden, the nurses tend to help them turning towards right and left so that they don't develop bed sores. And imagine them being in that state, whatever the state that is immaterial, but lying on back for such a prolonged period would have caused bed sores. So Allah can make things happen without any cause, but Allah does not do that. He makes something happen through a cause, right? So that's his standard mechanism. So this is what was happening to them. First of all, the chances of anyone finding them out is minimal anyway, but then if that were to happen, then these things are mentioned. And that concept of absolute race and simultaneously multidimensional environment that they were in, that is there. Part of it was explained in the previous verse, part of it will come in an explanation in the later verse, but along with the ruku, this is pretty much obvious that the standard word for sleep, naum, nama, is not used, but a non-standard word, which is one of occurrence in the Quran, in Surah Kahf, in the history of the companions of the cave. So that is what it is. So I think I have explained everything that's there in this verse. We'll just read the Arabic text once more and the free-flowing running translation in the English language. وَتَحْسَبُهُمْ أَيْقَاظًا وَهُمْ رُقُودٌ وَنُقَلِّبُهُمْ ذَاتَ الْيَمِينِ وَذَاتَ الشِّمَالِ وَقَلْبُهُمْ بَاسِطٌ ذِرَعَيْهِ بِالْوَسِيدِ لَوْ اطَّلَيْتَ عَلَيْهِمْ لَوَلَّيْتَ مِنْهُمْ فِرَارًا وَلَمُلِئْتَ مِنْهُمْ رُعْبًا. And you think them to be awake, but they're in a state of ruqud, that is somewhat similar to absolute rest in a simultaneously multidimensional environment, while we continually kept on turning them towards the right and towards the left, as the dog is stretching at its 2 forelegs and paws right at the mouth of the cave, which is implied. Had you perchance climbed to rise up and look at them, sure you would have turned yourself and others back, running to escape away from them, and surely you would have been filled with terror because of such an odd sight of them.